Right, hello again, everybody. John Scott here for WrestleMania, and I'm pleased to say I'm joined now by Mariah May herself. How you doing, Mariah? Obviously, in these very difficult times of, I'm sure, isolation at the moment. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. I'm good. I hope you're doing well too. I'm just trying to keep as busy as I can and keep myself occupied, even though we're stuck indoors.
Yeah, when you say busy, like we all know your schedule. For anybody that doesn't know Mariah May's schedule for this year, what it was going to be, what it has been, you know, this wrestler is very, very busy person. I remember posting I think it was like one of your schedules up, and it was crazy. It was like every single day,
Yeah.
pretty much. You've gone from one extreme to the other. I'm sure you didn't anticipate that, but what's that
Yeah.
been like? Because you were really like, I've got to say, and a lot of other wrestlers that I was meeting was all kind of making comments about how much work you were doing and putting in
Oh.
for 2020. And I know when I saw you at the back end of last year at DNA Wrestling, I said to you about some of the stuff you were going to do in 2020, and you said it there, but I didn't quite believe to the extent of how much work you were going to take on. What was that period like, although it was short-lived, because you were working quite consecutively?
Yeah. To be honest with you, that the only way you get better at wrestling is by doing it. So for me, when you first start out, you're only really wrestling maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks, and it's fun and stuff, but you're itching to do more because you want it to be like second nature to you, and the only way that's going to happen is by doing it all the time. So like my real like big goal, like by the time it came to the end of 2019, I was like, I'd had about 20 matches. I was training all the time, and I thought I can really just go for this now, I think. And by doing all these shows, I can really improve. So I really just put myself out there, like messaged everyone, like just, I wanted to work everywhere or help out or just get myself out there. So that was my big goal for 2020. And then obviously once I just started my new job as well, so I work 5 days a week, and
Mm-hmm.
then it was like 5 days a week, and sometimes on the Friday night go to a show, Saturday drive to a show, Sunday drive to a show. And admittedly, like at first it was a bit of a shock to the system because you're going to work, going to the gym for like 3 hours, getting home late, eating, not getting to bed till like midnight, up at like 6:30 a.m. going to work,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously the weekend you're working the whole weekend. But it's just when you're actually wrestling, it's just the best feeling ever. So it just doesn't matter. Like you don't worry about that stuff. Like I think the only time it was difficult was during the week, being at work, sitting at my desk thinking I could be practicing promos right now, I could be in the gym right now, I could be doing X, Y, and Z for wrestling right now, but I'm not. I'm
Mm-hmm.
stuck here making sales.
Yeah.
That at first was a difficult thing because it was just like you were like almost like antsy, like sitting there thinking, oh my god, I could be putting these 5 days into wrestling. But that's just the way it is. Like when you start out, that's just the sacrifices you make. And when you listen to other wrestlers who right now are wrestling all over the world or wrestling for major companies, they always say when they start out, like they worked a normal job and they wrestled and they struggle it, and then eventually maybe one day you'll be able to quit that job and be able to wrestle full time. So that's kind of what like helped me when I was feeling that midweek kind of, oh god, like this is
Mm-hmm.
difficult. But because at the weekends it was fine, like it's wrestling, right? But it was the midweek kind of like dip where you were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh god, this is tough. But knowing that other people who've made it now and are doing what they love had to go through what you're going through right now is like all the motivation you need, really, because you just know like this is the path, like this is how it happens. And yeah, and I honestly, like, now that we're stuck at home and we're doing nothing, like I'd give anything anything to go back to that schedule, to be honest with you, because as you said, I post my schedules. I like to every 2 months sort of post where I'm going, and
Mm-hmm.
I literally had just posted my schedule, done the first weekend, and then obviously everything sort of got cancelled. And I had plans to wrestle in Finland, I had plans to wrestle in Germany, I had plans to wrestle in Wales, I had plans to wrestle like all over the UK, and now it's like nothing. So it's just one of those things, like times like this make you appreciate those midweek dips, because you think I'd give anything to go back to having all of that than just sitting at home all day, just
Yeah. Yeah, and for anybody that like, I encourage people to check your YouTube stuff out because you post like where on your weekends you'll do like videos,
Yeah.
like like reviews of where you've been, and you kind of talk the process of where you are, what you're doing, which is a really good insight for like people like myself or people out there that want to have a better understanding of that in between moments, which I think is like something that's not everybody kind of appreciates sometimes, like the travel, the getting there, the preparation before, like nobody kind of sees that side of it. And it can be quite tiring. I'm pretty sure of that. When I last saw you, I actually saw you when I think you just started out with All Star Wrestling.
All Star, yeah.
And I was that your first? Might have been your first show.
Yeah, it was my first All Star.
Yeah. You was doing like the mixed tag stuff. Then because All Star, like they've been around for such a long time. Just part of the fabric in UK wrestling, really. Yeah. Brian Dixon, everybody knows the name, and. To be honest with you, like they have got that market down to a T. I mean, they know their audience. They get these great venues. Most times they're sort of like theatre layouts where you're working to one side of the crowd as opposed to all of them. What is the vibe like for All Star? Because obviously you'd work there a lot more, and they do a hell of a lot of wrestling through the year. But what was that schedule, and what was it like working for them in particular?
Honestly, it's like, I know it sounds really dramatic, but it's like that I did the half-term week because obviously they normally run over school holidays, because it's like a half-term week or maybe Easter and things like that. So I did the half-term week, and it was honestly like one of the best weeks of my life because, not only was it so fun, just literally waking up every day and wrestling was my full-time job because I booked the week off work. So, you woke up in the morning, you got a good workout in, got your stuff ready, you went and wrestled somewhere across in the UK, and not only was wrestling like my full-time job, which was so fun, but I just learned so much. Like that week for me as a wrestler was so defining because it's hard to explain in depth to people who maybe aren't wrestlers, but I wasn't just doing the motions, I wasn't just doing the moves, I was like learning to tell a story. I was learning how to get everything out of the crowd because the thing with All Star, and this is what I think is so charming about it, is they don't really advertise anyone. Like they don't, it's not like these other shows you do where you advertise these big independent names, which is amazing. Like I work those shows too and I love working them, but the crazy thing about All Star is they don't advertise anyone. Like there's nothing to it. They just advertise family friendly wrestling, and then these people come and they just want to have a good time and they cheer for the good guys and they boo the bad guys, and if you tell a good story they go crazy for it. So that's why I love working there, and it just taught me so much.
Simple but very effective. They know who they are. They got a really good identity, and that's basically it. I mean, that's why he's been around for so long. I'm guessing, that's why he's got that market. Pretty crazy. Now, obviously, people will. I mean, you're so young still. It's incredible to think how young you are, and yet, like how far you've come in such a short time. Obviously, like talk us through like. When you first was breaking into wrestling or, really thinking about doing it properly and committing to it, what were some of those early decisions like to sort of like literally take that leap of faith and say to, I'm going to go for this now. I'm going to give wrestling a shot. How did all that come about in your life?
So, I mean, I've been a wrestling fan forever. Like, as a kid, obviously I said I'm going to be like Mickie James. But then I think people take that as like, every kid's like, I'm going to be like Ronaldo, I'm going to be, this or that. And like, no one takes it seriously. And then, as I grew up, I always liked watching it. It never really left me. But as I got older, it was more of a thing of like, it just didn't seem plausible. Like it didn't seem like it was a thing in the UK. I mean, this is going back like 3-4 years now. This is when I was just finishing up in school. And like it didn't seem like something you could actually do. And I remember like my mom was like, oh, like what do you want for Christmas? I was like, oh, like I really want to like go to wrestling school. And like she looked for me because she wanted to surprise me and get me some classes, but she couldn't really find anywhere like remotely near us. Like everything was like a good 4 hours away. And like she didn't think I would want to do that. I mean, I would have done that, but I was like 16 at the time. I couldn't drive like anything. So so it was one of those things like it didn't really seem plausible. It just and when I was leaving school, it was like crunch time and you kind of had to make a decision on what you wanted to do. And I was really struggling because I didn't want to do anything else. Like, it was really tough for me, and no one kind of took me seriously. I'm like, I want to wrestle, and they were like, no, but that's not a real like thing. Like, you have to pick something, and like
Yeah,
it
that
was,
before.
yeah, and it was just so difficult because it was just like, oh, but I can't let it go. And I went and I work in accounts now, and like that was just something that I learned to do as a backup choice, but I just couldn't let it go. Like, it was one of those things I just couldn't stop thinking about it all the time, and I just thought, if I don't follow this up, I'm just going to be miserable. Like, I did a bit of theatre and things like that, and it was fun. It was nice to like be in front of a crowd and tell a story, but I always felt like something was missing. And so a school opened up in Enfield, which is actually not so far from me, and I just thought, I've got to go for this. Like, I've got to take this chance. And once I went to training, I just never looked back. I just thought, this is everything that I'm sort of good at, because I'm good at sport and I'm good at theatre, things like that I have sort of a talent for, and my passion. If I put myself into this and apply myself, I could get good at this. And it was just one of those things where I just thought, if I give this 100%, like, it wouldn't happen overnight, but I could make something of this. Like, I could make my dreams come true in a way, because like, it all kind of fell into place for me, and I just thought, I have to go for this. And and the good thing about it is, like I said, I do have a normal job, so if anything ever happened, I mean, like, I work from home now, so if, like, for example, now there's a pandemic, so no one can really wrestle, I have got the backup, and that's kind of what I sort of tell my parents, like, I've got my backup job, and I think that makes them feel a bit better. They're like, all right, if this doesn't work out, like, she's got something to fall back on. But now it's starting to pick up for me, like you said, like, I've got a busy schedule and stuff. Like, my parents and stuff, like, they're really supportive of it. They're like, you've got to go for this. And all my friends and stuff, they're like, it's so amazing that you've actually was such a big fan, because I remember at school I would like watch WrestleMania. Like, when WrestleMania was on, I'd watch it on the Monday in the in the like the common room, like the room where everyone chills out. I'd put it on the telly. So they're like, oh, it's so cool that you were a fan of that, and now you're actually a wrestler. And I'm like, yeah. I just think there's things in life that you're passionate about, and you have to go for it.
Yeah, I think, like, it's always the same sort of things. Like, I think you need like a certain good like support network around you when you're like chasing your dream. I think, like, so many times people, they have it in their head that they'd really like to give something a go, but very few ever really chase and grab that at the end. Like, it's one thing to have ideas and stuff, but it is a completely unique commitment to just go out for it, on top of, like what you were saying, like having a regular job as well,
or school, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to put the work in a little bit for it. But I think passion is a big part of it as well. I think if you're totally passionate for something, then that can kind of give you the energy levels you need to like fulfill that.
Because like you said about the support thing, but like when I first started, like not that everyone wasn't supportive, like it wasn't that, but they just kind of didn't take it seriously. Like you kind of sometimes do feel like I'm on my own in this. So it's like, it is important that you have that passion for it, because you won't make it past the first month, because if you have that passion and you want something bad enough, it doesn't matter that you're on your own in it. Because like for me as well, like a big turning point for me, like my family were always supportive. They're like, do what you want, but they didn't get it. Like, they're not wrestling fans, so I feel like when you're not a wrestling fan, you're like, what on earth? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I was becoming a footballer, like, they watch football, okay, she's doing football. Like, with wrestling, if it's not like a household thing for your family, they might be like, what's she doing? But they came and saw my first match, and they came and saw a match after that, and I think they really got it. Like, seeing me, my wrestling gear, having a proper match. I wrestled Nina Samuels, who's phenomenal. It was a real thing, and I think that sort of was the turning point for it. But up until that point, when you're training and stuff, to a lot of people who might be starting out with wrestling or might want to do it but feel like they haven't got their friends' support, or maybe their family don't get it, you just have to believe in yourself, and you just have to back yourself. It's really one of those things for like a year or two before you're really having matches and maybe making a name for yourself. You've really just got to believe in yourself, because you might not get that support, and it's so important to just not give up on something just because other people don't believe in you. You just have to back yourself all the way.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I remember rings the bell when I went into my my careers guy at the end of school, and it was like you'd queue up for this thing, like when I was at school, and each person would go in and say what they wanted to do or be. I remember going in there, sitting down. I was like, I want to be a wrestling manager. And the careers guy is like, his jaw just dropped. He's like,